Hi guys, welcome back to Fragments of a Simple Life, where every video I make is super simple. Today I'm going to be doing part 2 of my DVD collection. I've chosen 8 videos that, to me, are movies that really make you think, even though they're from a variety of different genres. Let's get started with the first one, shall we? I have a movie here called Donnie Darko, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Jenna Malone, Drew Barrymore, Patrick Swayze, Noah Wyle. If you are familiar with this movie, great. If you're not familiar, I highly recommend it. If you don't mind movies that are kind of scary, twisted, almost like psychological, edge of your seat thrillers, it will make you think about life and death and insanity, and it's a very strange movie. I've not seen it in a long time, but I own it and I like it a lot. It says, in this edgy psychological thriller, Jake Gyllenhaal leads a star-filled cast including Drew Barrymore, Noah Wyle, Jenna Malone, Patrick Swayze, and Mary McDonnell as a delusional high school student visited by a demonic, can never say that word, rabbit with eerie visions of the past and deadly predictions of the future. It is, I guess trippy would be a good way to put it. This movie is kind of old, 2001, the same year that I graduated, but if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend Donnie Darko. Next movie is from a completely different genre, but if you're my age, maybe younger, maybe older, you'll recognize it. We have Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, When Harry Met Sally. Romantic and funny, it's wonderful. Tender, amazing, and magnificent, an acutely perceptive and comically radiant love story. This is a very, very old movie, 1989. So when it first came out, I was obviously a little bit too young. I was 6, but let's read what it's about. Brimming over with style, intelligent, and flashing wit, the splendid and irresistible film from director Rob Reiner is one of the most best-loved romantic comedies of all time, featuring dazzling performance from Meg Ryan, Billy Crystal, Carrie Fisher, and Bruno Kirby, exceptional music from Harry Connick Jr., and an Oscar-nominated screenplay from Nora Ephron. When Harry Met Sally is an explosively funny commentary on friendships, courtships, and other hardships of the modern age. In 1989, guys. Will sex ruin a perfect relationship between a man and a woman? That's what Harry and Sally debate during their trip from Chicago to New York. And 11 years later, they're still no closer to finding the answer. Will these two best friends ever accept that they're meant to be for each other? Or they continue to deny the attraction that's existed since the first moment when Harry met Sally? This will really make you think about love, life, relationships. When should it be friends? When should it be more than friends? I just really love this movie, and it's hilarious also. Another movie I haven't watched in a long time, but I own it. You might not have ever heard of it, honestly. It's called It's a Funny Kind of Story, and it's about 2 kids and a grown-up in kind of like a mental institution. It's a comedy, but it's also quite poignant and sad and honestly kind of relatable for a lot of people. It says, Zach Galifianakis, I can never say this kid's name right. Is it Kier, you guys? I don't even know. We'll just skip it. Lauren Graham and Emma Roberts star in this uplifting comedy about finding sanity in the most unlikely of places. Sometimes what's in your head isn't as crazy as you think. That's certainly true for Craig, a stressed-out teenager who checks himself into a mental health clinic for some time out. What he finds instead is an unlikely mentor, a potential new romance, and an opportunity to begin anew. Charming, witty, and smart. It's a coming-of-age story. That's a funny kind of story. It's really good. It's PG-13. I don't remember when this came out. I'm trying to see, guys. 2010. So it's new-ish, but I highly recommend it. Like I said, it's sad, but it's funny, but it's relatable. You can relate to the younger characters. You know, when you're young and you feel like life is just so hard and you can't quite figure it out. It's a dramatic comedy for sure. The next movie that I have might shock some people, but it actually is one of my all-time favorite movies because it's just so twisted and good and funny. Brad Pitt and Edward Norton in Fight Club. This movie is insane. It's another one that's kind of old. I cannot find a date. Oh, here we go. 1999. Edward Norton plays an insomniac. Brad Pitt is like a bad boy, and of course there has to be a love interest. It's quite good. She's kind of like the woman that comes in between the two men, and the two men create like what does it say? A shocking new form of therapy. Their concept catches on, which is what the Fight Club is. If you haven't seen this, I really don't want to tell you what happens, but insanity, complete insanity. I kind of want to watch this movie. It's funny, you forget the movies that you own and you're like, oh my god, it's a good movie, I want to watch it. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, go find Fight Club somewhere. The next movie I have is bizarre. I don't even remember everything that happens in this movie because I haven't seen it in so long, but it's a thriller. Memento. This movie is absolutely insane, super twisty. I feel like you have to watch it 5 times back to back to get everything. It says Memento is easily the best film so far this year. Let's see, what year was that? 2004. It says the revenge thriller gets an unforgettable new twist with Memento. Intricate crime story about a man with a damaged memory chasing a murderer whose identity he cannot possibly ever know for sure. It's crazy. The main character, Leonard, he suffers from a rare brain disorder, the inability to form any new memories. That's why it's called Memento. He like writes everything down. He can remember in detail everything that happened before his injury, but anyone he has met or anything he has done since that fateful night simply vanishes. If I remember correctly, someone, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I feel like every time he wakes up, he forgets. So like he has notes and like tattoos and all kinds of stuff. So it says, who are his friends? Who are his enemies? What's the truth? It's absolutely insane. Yeah, it's a movie you have to watch more than once, for sure. It's a movie that I need to watch again because I haven't watched it in so long. I love it. Love it. Highly recommend it. The next movie that I have is an Adam Sandler classic, in my opinion. It's called Click. It says, what if you had a universal remote that controlled your universe? This movie it might have actually come out around Christmas time, the year that it came out, because that's what it reminds me of. Yeah, it's very like, it's funny, but not too gross. It's like family humor. A harried workaholic, Michael Newman doesn't have time for his wife, Kate Beckinsale, and children. Not if he's to impress his ungrateful boss and earn a well-deserved promotion. So when he meets Morty, who doesn't love Christopher Walken, loopy sales clerk, he gets to in answer to his prayers, a magical remote that allows him to bypass life's little distractions with increasingly hysterical results. But as Michael gleefully mutes, skips, and scans past his family and his friends, the remote gradually takes over his life and begins to program him in this fast, funny, and out-of-control comedy adventure. You can see Adam Sandler there, kind of fat, but I won't tell you why. It's a really good movie. I highly recommend it. I don't know, it's PG-13, so I guess it isn't for small kids, but for some kids. It's funny, it's sad, it's relatable in its own weird way. Yeah, there's some scenes where I go, oh my gosh, that's my life, but Adam Sandler, Click, I highly recommend that movie. It's a good one. It'll really make you think about kind of like taking your time in life, I guess you could say, enjoying everything while you can. Next, we have Garden State, Zach Braff and Natalie Portman. This movie is funny. Again, it's sad. It's super, like what I would call emo. The music is really good. It says marvelous, fun, hilarious, and heartfelt, which I agree with. Amazing, one of the best films of the year, which I agree with. It was actually my husband that made me watch this movie for the first time because I hadn't seen it, which is weird because I like the soundtrack, but I hadn't seen the movie. So it says it's a quirky coming-of-age comedy that has been hailed as the seminal film for today's generation. 20-something emotionally detached Andrew Largeman returns home to New Jersey after 9 long years. Now, as he tries to reconnect with his past, a series of chance encounters with Sam, a free-spirited girl who's everything he isn't, sets the stage for a fateful, mind-blowing take on what his future might hold. Co-starring Peter Sarsgaard, Ian Holm, and Method Man, Garden State is hilarious. Natalie Portman's fantastic in this movie. She is what can only be described as like a weirdo. This is another 2004 movie. 2004 had some good movies, but I highly recommend this if you haven't seen it. I highly recommend all these movies, obviously, and also the soundtrack. It's a good movie. It's kind of indie, kind of emo. You will get that kind of feel with it. Not like low budget, just, I don't know, it's well made and emotional. I love it. The last movie that I'm going to be sharing with you, movie number 8, To Make You Think, is a true story called The Pursuit of Happyness with Will Smith. It says Will Smith gives the most touching performance of his career. This movie, there's no way you won't cry. It's just that good. And this was his first time acting with his son. He's so little right there. Let me see, what year was this movie? I'm trying to find it, you guys. It's kind of old too. I don't see it. Somebody put it in the comments if you know, but it's really good. Let's read. It says, for his son, one man will reach for the impossible. Will Smith stars as in the inspirational true story of Chris Gardner, a San Francisco salesman who's struggling to make ends meet. When his girlfriend Linda walks out, Chris is left to raise their 5-year-old son Christopher on his own. Chris's determination finally pays off when he lands an unpaid internship in a brutally competitive stockbroker training program, where only 1 in 20 interns will make the cut. But without a salary, Chris and his son are evicted from their apartment and are forced to sleep on the streets, in homeless shelters, and even behind the locked doors of oh my gosh, I remember that scene. So sad, God. Sorry, just had like a flashback of this movie. Locked doors of a metro station bathroom. With self-confidence and love and trust of his son, Chris Gardner rises above his obstacles to become a Wall Street legend. Oh, this movie. I'm like getting goosebumps right now and I'm not even watching it. It's a really powerful movie that will make you believe that anything is possible, to put your family first, to follow your passions, to trust your instincts, and to really, really, really believe in yourself as much as everyone around you is believing in you. Yeah, this movie, like, I'm about to cry, like, literally just remembering this movie. It's so good, so touching. Will Smith and his son, you could tell that they're father and son for real because their bond in this movie, like, they play father and son and you just can't fake it. It was perfect casting, perfect idea to have his biological son be in this movie because the tears are so real and the bond is so real, and it makes it all that much more touching. So yeah, Pursuit of Happyness, Garden State, Click, Memento, Fight Club. It's a funny kind of story. When Harry Met Sally. And creepiest for last, Donnie Darko. These are just a few movies that have definitely made me think, made me laugh, made me cry, and has had some sort of effect on the way I think about things. I recommend all of them, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more daily ASMR videos from me, please like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you next time, guys.